This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. And as always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. All right, so it's Tuesday. All right, we're back. It's been since Friday since we did our last show, obviously, but we always do the show on Tuesday. So for the first segment, we're going to be doing the weekend recap. All right, we're going to be talking a bit about Tiger Woods. He missed the cut. Going to give some thoughts on him. Going to talk a lot about All-Star Weekend and pretty much anything else that happened over the weekend. All right, and then for the second segment, we'll be talking some NFL, pretty much anything, just like a little NFL segment. All right, talk about anything that's going on in that league. All right, for the third segment, we'll be talking about storylines to look for in the NBA. And then for the fourth segment, or I should say storylines to look for in the NBA post All-Star break. All right, and then for the fourth segment, we'll be talking JD Martinez going to the Red Sox, talk about what that means for their chances of winning the division and getting better. We'll be talking Champions League. Maybe the Barcelona and Chelsea game will be over by then. All right, as of right now, it's halftime and it's 0-0, so I guess it should be over by then, or at least around that time. So we'll be doing that, and pretty much, if I haven't said it already, pretty much anything else going on in the world of sports. All right, so let's get into it right now. All right, so Tiger Woods, I can't remember which golf tournament he was in, but nonetheless, I think he shot a +6, or should I say 6 over par? I'm not sure what the right term is for golf. Is it +6 or 6 over par? Yeah, I think it's 6 over par. Either way, you get what I'm saying, all right? So he missed the cut. Not a good day for Tiger Boy here. All right, not a good day at all. Tiger Woods, I mean, I guess enjoy him while he's here. I'm going to keep saying it. I mean, there's not really much to look forward to with Tiger Woods, okay? He's not winning another major. Very well might never win another tournament. All right, so just enjoy. If you're a Tiger Woods fan, enjoy seeing him out there. If you're a golf fan, then Tiger Woods is just another dude out there, all right? The guy is just a shell of himself, okay? So let's all just enjoy Tiger Woods while we still got him. All right, so that's what happened in golf. I think Bubba Watson, did he win that tournament? I think Bubba Watson won that tournament, and he played in the NBA Celebrity All-Star Game too. So I guess Bubba Watson, you could say, is probably one of the best two-sport athletes of all time, winning the golf tournament and then playing in the Celebrity Game. All right, was he up there with Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders? No. Am I joking? Yeah. All right, obviously Bubba Watson is not one of the best athletes of all time, but I'm going to make a little joke there. All right, so speaking All-Star Weekend, let's talk All-Star Weekend. All right, let's talk about it. What did we think of it? All right, how about we talk, there was a lot that went on over All-Star Weekend, okay? I mean, one of the biggest stories of All-Star Weekend wasn't even the game itself or the dunk contest or anything like that. It was the national anthem. Oh, man, the national anthem was so bad, you guys. So bad. Yeah, there was stories on Bleacher Report, ESPN about the national anthem that Fergie sang, and I don't know what she was thinking. I don't. Still to this day. All right, what is it? Tuesday? It's been 2 days. All right, Sunday and then Monday. I've been able to process what happened, and I still don't get it. I don't get why she did that. All right, by far one of the worst national anthems I've ever heard. I mean, I feel bad a little bit too because she had to go out and apologize for her performance. It was that bad. If you haven't had a chance yet, listen to it. If you have had a chance, listen to it at your own risk. But nonetheless, that was one of the biggest stories of All-Star Weekend. I'm not sure if that's a bad thing or a good thing too. All right. Firsthand, I think it might be a bad thing because if you saw the All-Star ratings were a bit down, and I think the All-Star ratings were lower, the NBA All-Star game ratings were lower than the Pro Bowl. No one watches the Pro Bowl, all right? So I mean, I guess the NFL still reigns supreme, but I like the way they did this format, all right? We had Team LeBron versus Team Steph. Team LeBron won 148 to 145. LeBron MVP in this one, 29 points, almost had a triple-double. He had 29 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. Kevin Durant had 19 points in the game. Let's see who else played well. Kyrie Irving almost had a triple-double, 13 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds. Let's see, off the bench for Team LeBron, you had Paul George, he had 16 points. Andre Drummond had 14 points, and then Bradley Beal had 14 points. For Team Stephen, all right, you had Antetokounmpo with 16 points. Joel Embiid was a bit of a fun player to watch in that one. He had 19 points, 8 rebounds. Let's see who else played well. I mean, Steph Curry and James Harden did not. They both had under 12 points. Well, James Harden had 12. Steph Curry had 11. I mean, Steph couldn't hit a 3 in the All-Star game, 3 of 11. James Harden went 2 of 13. Obviously, the stats don't mean anything either, but I'm just giving you a rundown of how it happened. Let's see, Karl Anthony Towns, he had 17 points. Damian Lillard was going off in that one, had 21 points, and then Klay Thompson had 15 points. No Jimmy Butler in this one, all right? None whatsoever. Did not play, did not just come in at all, all right? I think he was probably partied too much in LA and was like, you know what? I don't feel like playing today, so don't play me, D'Antoni. And that's sure enough what happened. You got Lou Williams tweeting him after, talking about it. All right, Lou Williams obviously thought he should have made the All-Star game, and I don't know. Let's see, who should he have made it over? I mean, you're not going to make it over Damian Lillard. You're not going to make it over... All right, so let's go look at the guards now. You're not making it over Jimmy. You're not making it over Lillard. You're not making it over Klay. Not making it over Harden. You're not making it over Steph. Let's see, you're not making it over Westbrook. And let's look. I guess you could say he probably should have made it over Dragic, possibly, but Dragic has been playing extremely well this season. Maybe over Kemba Walker. Let's see, who else was I think those were the only 2 replacements, so maybe Lou Williams could have made it in over there. But nonetheless, I mean, the All-Star game itself, everyone's saying that it was one of the best All-Star games ever, one of the most exciting ones, I should say. All right, there was defense played in that one, and I mean, I feel like LeBron set the tone for the All-Star game here, okay? LeBron went out there, was swatting shots, pretty much looked like he was playing hard. I feel like the players, they follow LeBron, right? LeBron, without a doubt, is still the best player in this league. And like he's that guy, right? He's pretty much, I don't know, LeBron is weird. He's got like that presence when he walks in where you pay attention, you pretty much follow his lead, all right? So like I said, I mean, you had him blocking shots, playing defense, going up to get rebounds. I really thought that Joel Embiid was going to get hurt in this game. By the way, they were jumping over him to try and get rebounds and all that. I mean, it was just like, I was like, oh, they better take it easy with Joel Embiid. Otherwise, this is going to be really bad for the Sixers, all right? I mean, you already got one guy who forgot how to shoot. I think the Monstars still have his talent, talking about Markelle Fultz, but imagine if Joel Embiid went down in the All-Star game of all games, okay? That would be like the worst possible thing to happen to the Sixers and to the NBA, I feel. But either way, getting back to All-Star game, I mean, yeah, the national anthem was pretty bad. The All-Star game itself was pretty good. As far as the festivities, the activities, whatever you want to call them, on Saturday night, the three-point shootout, the dunk contest, and the skills challenge, there's not really much interest in it anymore, okay? I mean, Donovan Mitchell didn't end up winning the dunk contest. I called it, all right? Believe it or not, I referenced his rebounding as to why he was going to win. All right, have you ever seen that dude go up for a rebound? It's ridiculous. Jumps about 20 feet in the air just to go get it. Could jump over the tallest player in the league and probably get a rebound. All right, I got that right. I got the three-point contest pick wrong. It was Devin Booker. I picked Wayne Ellington. Probably, I don't know. I'm not sure how many people ended up picking Devin Booker unless you were a Suns fan to go out and win it. All right, and then Spencer Dinwiddie. Quite the season he's having, right? Playing well for the Nets and won the skills challenge, so that was good for him. And then in the Rising Stars game, the Mountain Dew Kickstart Rising Stars game, I believe it's called. Let's see, you had Bogdan Bogdanovic. He had 28 points, I think it was, or he had 26, I think, somewhere around there. Buddy Hield had 28. So, I mean, Kings got to be a little bit happy with how they played in the glorified scrimmage. I mean, as far as the Kings go and their young players, I mean, they just got to learn how to become consistent, okay? They're not consistent. They're still developing, but they got to figure out how to be competitive every day, okay? But besides that, going back to All-Star Weekend, I mean, I like how it all went down. I like how they did Team Steph versus Team LeBron. Adam Silver said next year that the draft is probably going to end up being televised, most likely. All right, I think that's a good thing. And I really hope to see next year some NBA players get their feelings hurt because they got drafted last. I mean, NBA players are so soft. Can you believe that? That's probably I think that's why the that's the reason why they didn't televise the draft this year, because no one wanted to be seen on national television getting picked last. If Russell Westbrook gets picked, is in the All-Star game next year, as he probably will be, whoever the captains are, gotta be like, say, you know what, hey, let's just mess with Westbrook. Let's wait till the very end. You could have him if I get this player, whatever. Right? I want to see Russell Westbrook get picked last in the draft last year, because I know he will throw the fit of all fits. Okay. And speaking of Westbrook, it looks like him and his relationship with Kevin Durant is finally back and fixed. All right. Honestly, I thought that this whole Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook relationship type story thing was so overblown and so dumb. All right. I hated it so much. Could not stand to see that ESPN took every chance they could to talk about it. All right, you had a game, a Saturday night game this year between the two, and ESPN's little promo, the commercial thing had Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, Bad Blood, stuff like that, and a bunch of other websites talking about it. I mean, Bleacher Report is like the older family member that tries to act like a young kid so he could pretty much feel like he's still a young guy out there. Like, it's just, I don't know, that's how Bleacher Report tweets now. It's kind of weird. But either way, I mean, look, yeah, like I said, the whole story was so overblown and so dumb. All right. I mean, yeah, it gets clicks and all that and views last year, but I feel like bringing it back over to this year and still talking about it was just overblown and just a waste of time, all right? Because you got Kevin Durant and Westbrook getting asked questions about it, and it's like, dude, we don't even want to answer this anymore because we already talked about it last year. It's not a big story, all right? We need to get over the fact that Kevin Durant went to the Warriors, all right? It happened. I mean, if you're still mad over it, then I think you just need to rethink your priorities, all right? Because, I mean, he's just a guy doing a job. That's it. All right, he's just the guy who went to go play basketball for a different team. Yeah, it was the best team in the league. Yeah, no other players really did anything like that. But nonetheless, it happens, so get over it, all right? As far as the whole Westbrook and Kevin Durant relationship, get over that too. That's not a story, all right? And they tried doing the same thing with Kyrie Irving and LeBron, but, I mean, looking like that really wasn't – there was no bad blood there. And I think they tried too hard to make it similar to Westbrook and Durant, all right? Kyrie Irving did not hate LeBron James, all right? I don't think he does. I don't know him personally, but if I had to bet money on it, I'd say Kyrie Irving does not hate LeBron James. But Kyrie Irving, like I said, this is all just from my mind or whatever, from what I've read. But from what I read and all that stuff, it seems like Kyrie Irving just didn't like playing under the shadow of LeBron James, all right? Like in soccer, you got Neymar, he used to play with Barcelona, had him playing with Messi. Yeah, Neymar's one of the best players in the world, but you're never really going to talk about him too much because you got the best player in the world playing on that same team, so that's why he had to go and leave. That's the same thing with Kyrie Irving, all right? Kyrie Irving, I think, is a top 10 player in this league, but he's never going to get his fair recognition with the Cavs because you got the best player, one of the best players of all time, probably the second best player of all time, in LeBron James, playing on that same team, all right? Kyrie Irving has been doing just as pretty much look like, not, I don't want to say he's better off. Yeah, I guess you could say he is better off not playing with LeBron than he is with him because, I mean, LeBron could be gone after this year. Kyrie Irving's currently leading the second best, or this team with the second best record in the Eastern Conference with the Celtics, all right, playing well. LeBron's playing well with the Cavs, so I think it's just one thing that worked out well for both of them. But nonetheless, getting back to it, I did enjoy All-Star Weekend. I thought that game was pretty good, all right. I like the defense they were playing. I liked how pretty much, I don't know, it's just a different type of atmosphere. And I like the NBA too because they're more progressive as to how they need to change things. They're not like the NFL where they make enough money to where, I mean, it's not really going to make a difference what they do or whatever. But the NBA is starting to figure things out. So that's all I got to say about that for the weekend recap. It was more so just NBA All-Star Weekend. Like I said, Tiger Woods did shoot a +6 or 6 over par and missed the cut in his tournament. Bubba Watson won that tournament, I believe it was. So nice little weekend of sports. Next up, we're going to be talking NFL, pretty much anything going on in the league right now, so stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. In that first segment, we basically talked a bit about Tiger Woods and talked about All-Star Weekend, gave my thoughts on that. Also talked a bit about the national anthem and the story it became. All right, and for this segment, we're going to be talking NFL. All right, pretty much just going to be talking about anything going on in the NFL right now, any news, notes, or just any thoughts that I have. All right, so let's get into it. The Bucks have cut Doug Martin. Okay, and I mean, Doug Martin, the last few years, his rushing yard numbers have gone down, so I do understand it. But I'm kind of curious to see what a team like the Bucks does this offseason, okay? Because they need to fix up the secondary, pretty much need to fix up that entire defense. Now you need a running back unless you think Peyton Barber is the guy, all right? And, I mean, that's it right there. You just got to fix up the running back, maybe look at the offensive line a bit, but first and foremost, go fix up the defense. And like I said, after that, then you get a running back. And people on the Twitter sphere have been talking about how Le'Veon Bell could possibly find his way to Tampa Bay if everything played out right, okay? And, I mean, I could see it happening, okay? So let's put it this way, all right? Let's say that the Steelers are just go back to their old Steeler ways, become stingy, cheap, and don't pay Le'Veon Bell. All right, and I understand, like, if the Steelers didn't want to play Le'Veon Bell, I get that too, because, I mean, Le'Veon Bell's looking for $15 to $17 million a year, and I think the Steelers' cap situation right now already isn't looking too good, so, I mean, I get, like, as to why they wouldn't, but, I mean, you got to figure out a way to keep a player like that on your team, all right? The dude's, without a doubt, the best running back in the league. It's like Le'Veon Bell, and then, I mean, put whoever you want else after that, okay? If it was up to me, yeah, I'd give Le'Veon Bell that kind of money just because, like I said, no one could do what he does, all right? One of the best runners in between the tackles, is a nice patient running back, doesn't really run through, hit the hole until he knows it's ready. Pretty much it's completely open at its best, all right? And runs outside the tackles pretty well. And then as far as catching the ball at the backfield, I mean, the dude could give you 100 yards on the ground, but it could also give you 8 catches, 100-plus yards, and a couple touchdowns as far as receiving the ball. So, I mean, probably one of the best dual-threat running backs in the league, all right? The term really doesn't get really thrown around too much as far as running backs go. But, I mean, as far as the Bucks, I mean, it makes sense. Go out, give a first-round pickup for Le'Veon Bell if the Steelers franchise him. Maybe give up a second or a third instead. Or, and pretty much the Bucks have a ton of cap space, so they're going to have to use it some way. And I'm sure that the Bucks wouldn't mind paying a guy like Le'Veon Bell. Because you pay a guy like Le'Veon Bell and Jameis Winston's ability automatically gets better, okay? Jameis Winston is a guy who doesn't really need the ball in his hands too much because he might make a couple too many mistakes. So if you have a guy like Le'Veon Bell out there, it's obviously going to take the ball out of Jameis' hands quite a bit. And it's going to give Jameis a little bit more time to focus, be patient, and pretty much make the best out of the chances he gets to go out and throw the pass the ball out there. All right, so as far as it all goes, I mean, I'm behind the move, the idea of getting Le'Veon Bell to Tampa Bay. I think it'd be good for them, and I think that makes them a playoff team if they do that. All right, but I mean, it's not just Le'Veon Bell too, I guess, like I said, you got to fix up the defense, and you got to figure out what happened with Mike Evans and Deshaun Jackson this year. Those guys just did not play well at all this season. Deshaun Jackson was, for the most part, disappointing, was off and on a bit, and Mike Evans really, I mean, was he was okay, but just not as good as his ability has shown, all right? But I think it's going to be different. It's going to be interesting to see, too, because, I mean, after year one already, you had Dirk Cutter with his job up in the air, and I think that he would have lost his job if Tampa Bay would have been able to get John Gruden, but obviously the Raiders offered him way more money than he would have got at Tampa Bay, so that's why they ended up keeping Dirk Cutter, I feel. But, I mean, if the Bucks don't end up making the playoffs this year, then I feel like you got to get rid of him if you were already thinking about it before. I mean, pretty much this Bucks team should be in the playoffs this year. I mean, they got a lot of good players, a lot of great players, so we'll figure it out. But as far as Le'Veon Bell heading over to Tampa Bay, I mean, I can see it happening. And let's see, what else should we talk about in the NFL? Let's talk about the Eagles real quick, all right? So they got Carson Wentz, obviously, and I want to talk about their chances of getting back to a Super Bowl and winning it, all right? And I think that their chances are extremely good, okay? There's only been, I think, 8 teams that have gone out and won a won Super Bowls back to back. Let me see, I got it right here. You got the 1966 and 67 Packers won Super Bowls 1 and 2. The 72-73 Miami Dolphins won Super Bowl 7 and 8, and then the Steelers did it twice in 74-75, winning Super Bowls 9 and 10, and then in 78-79, winning Super Bowls 13 and 14, excuse me. And then the San Francisco 49ers in 88 and 89 won Super Bowls 23 and 24. Dallas Cowboys in 92 and 93 won Super Bowls 27 and 28. Then in 97-98, the Denver Broncos won Super Bowls 32 and 33. And then the New England Patriots won Super Bowls 38 and 39 in 2003 and 2004. So, I mean, it's been done before, but it's not done as often, okay? And let's put it this way. You got Nick Foles and you got Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is trying to get back on the field by week 1 so he could be ready to start the season. But I think that getting him back out there, unless he's like 100% healthy, would be a huge risk. And if I'm the Eagles, I'm saying, you know what? Until you're confident in your knee and you're confident pretty much as far as mental goes and stuff like that, then we'll bring you out there. But if I'm the Eagles, I'm not bringing him out from till week 3 or week 5, all right? You're going to have to wait some time. Okay, and it's like the ACL injury obviously takes a year to heal up, so it's going to be a while before Wentz is all ready to go. But like I said, that's one of the reasons why I wouldn't rush him, because you got a guy like Nick Foles who went out and won the Super Bowl pretty much with 4 games under his belt this season, okay? Nick Foles, because people were talking about like what to give up for Nick Foles or where he's going to go, but I just don't see it happening unless someone gives the Eagles like a couple of first-round picks or even a first-round pick in a second. I just don't think that it makes too much sense to get rid of a guy like Nick Foles if you're the Eagles, okay? Because of the fact, like I said, you're not sure if you're going to have Wentz there for week 1. If you don't have Wentz there week 1, then you're kind of in trouble. But like I said, you got a guy in your back pocket where he's won a Super Bowl for, and I'm sure obviously the schedules haven't came out or anything like that, but I'm sure Nick Foles can go out and win a couple of games in the regular season before Wentz comes back. So if I'm the Eagles, I'm not getting rid of Foles probably until the trade deadline, and I might not even get rid of Foles to begin with. I might just keep him from the year, and you know what? Maybe, obviously, it depends on what Nick Foles wants to do. But if I'm Philly, I'm going to take a look at who the highest paid backup quarterbacks are in the league. And I'm going to try and give Foles that. All right. Because it's hard to have quarterbacks like that. It's hard to, let me see if I can find the highest paid backup quarterbacks in the league right now for 2017 at least. Let's see right here. It's starting quarterbacks. We don't want starting quarterbacks, but either way, getting back to it, like I said, I mean, it's tough to have a good backup quarterback. I mean, look at the Steelers, right? If Ben I don't know why I was drawing a blank there, but if Ben Roethlisberger ever went down, I mean, that team is in big trouble. They're not really going to have anyone back there because you got Josh Dobbs and Landry Jones, but those guys are they're not that good, all right? And then you have like a team like the Dolphins who had Matt Moore out there, and that was good for them, right? Because, I mean, Tannehill goes down like 2016, I think is when Tannehill tore his ACL. All right, he goes down, and you throw Matt Moore in there, and he helps get him to the playoffs. Let me see. I'm looking at the backup quarterbacks right now. I'm trying to figure it out. Let's see right here. Let's see, how much are they averaging per year? All right. Actually, I don't think it'll work because, I mean, Chad Henne, I think, might be the highest paid backup at $3.5 million. Patrick Mahomes was making $4 million, but he's a rookie. Nick Foles was making $5 million, so obviously you're going to have to pay him more than that. Right now, Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota on backup contracts. Let's see, Mike Glennon. All right, that's where you got to start. Okay, Mike Glennon, a backup, making about $15 million a year. All right. If I'm the Eagles, I'm telling Nick Foles, hey, we'll give you $20 a year. All right, well, let's see. Sam Bradford's making $17.5. You obviously got to pay him more than what Bradford's getting. Yeah, I'm telling Nick Foles, you know what? We'll give you about $23 million a year, some number in between that. All right, we'll lock you up for like 3-4 years or whatever. You'll get paid. Sit on our bench. All right, when we need you, if Wentz gets hurt again, you can come out. If not, you pretty much just get to come to practice, hang out, and get paid while you're doing it. All right, that's what I'm doing if I'm the Eagles. It's hard to keep quarterbacks like that on your team. All right, because like I said, Nick Foles is eventually, like if I had to put money on it, Nick Foles probably wouldn't end up leaving, but I'm still doing whatever I can to keep him. All right. And you know what? I don't know. That's something that's, if Mike Glennon could get 15, all right, yeah, you know, I'll give Nick Foles $20 million. That'd be the max. Because like I said, if Mike Glennon can get 15, then, I mean, you can figure out a way to give Nick Foles 20. Probably do like 3 years, $20 million right there. All right, about 6.2 million a year around there. That's perfect for him. And then you can still pay Carson Wentz, I feel. So, I mean, as far as what the Eagles need to do, I say you keep Nick Foles and you don't do anything with him until Carson Wentz gets back. And as far as the Eagles getting back to a Super Bowl, getting back to the point itself, I mean, I like their chances, all right? They still got a young team. Most of their core players are locked up for the near future. All right, you still got two great quarterbacks on your team. You got Jay Ajayi, you got LeGarrette Blount, who's going to be a free agent, but I wouldn't be opposed to bringing him back for the Eagles. You got Alshon Jeffrey, who's out there. You got Nelson Aguilar, who had a huge game in the Super Bowl, obviously one of the best tight ends in the league, and Zach Ertz. All right, the Eagles are sitting pretty right now, and you still got one of the best defenses in the league, so I mean, I wouldn't doubt it I wouldn't be shocked or surprised at the fact if someone from the future came back and said, yeah, the Eagles won the Super Bowl again. I'd be like, oh, that's cool. I mean, nothing really surprising there. So as far as what they need to do, obviously keep Nick Foles, and as far as their chances of getting back to a Super Bowl go, I mean, they're pretty good, I feel. So we'll see how it all ends up for them. Let's see anything else going on in the league right now. I saw a report saying that the Jets were willing to give up whatever it takes as far as money goes to get a guy like Kirk Cousins. And I think that would be a huge mistake for the Jets. I say build through the draft. Get a quarterback in the draft. Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, Josh Allen, doesn't matter who it is. Go and get one of those guys. All right, and build up your offense through the draft, okay? And maybe, I don't know, it's just I feel like the Jets right now don't have a team good enough to succeed with a guy like with Kirk Cousins, okay? Because Kirk Cousins obviously is a pretty good quarterback. I'm not sure if I would consider him top 10. I mean, he does have top 10 numbers, but I don't know. It's more of I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see that, like, Kirk Cousins is a bit of a weird quarterback. Never had any real true weapons at Washington. But, like I said, did put up good numbers. So, I mean, I guess Kirk Cousins could end up being a good quarterback. But I just feel like the Jets have way too many problems. Like, I feel like the Jets might be thinking, we sign a guy like Kirk Cousins, then that pretty much elevates everything else. And I don't think that's the case. I'm not sure that Kirk Cousins is a guy that goes and makes everyone around him better. I think Kirk Cousins has talent, but you got to have, like, certain types of players out there in order to help him utilize that talent. Because with Washington, I mean, yeah, he played well and he put up numbers, but I mean, that team never really won anything. So we got to wait and see as far as what the Jets do. But like I said, if it's me, then I'm really focusing on building that team before I go out and get a guy like Kirk Cousins. I mean, I feel like, why would you waste all of your cap on a guy like that? Obviously, that's not going to be all of it, but nonetheless, I mean, there's a lot more you can go out and get. And I understand that people say quarterback's the most important position, and you go out and get your quarterback before anything else. So I guess that's one thing that plays into it there. Like I said, I just don't think that the situation in New York is something that Kirk Cousins should go into, all right? Obviously, it's going to come down to his decision. If I'm Kirk Cousins, I'm going to wherever I'm getting paid. Because if I stink or whatever, I'm still getting paid a bunch of money because that guarantee is going to be high, all right? And I'm sure that signing bonus is going to be looking really nice too. So Kirk Cousins pretty much, I mean, he's got to thank Jimmy Garoppolo for the contract he's going to get. But as far as the Jets and Kirk Cousins go, not really enjoying it, thinking of it, liking it too much. And then, I mean, the Vikings are a team, they're getting brought up a little bit as far as a team who could go out and get a guy like Kirk Cousins. But, I mean, I feel like you can go out, you could sign Case Keenum and pretty much build a team around him still, all right? I don't think that you need to go out and go and get a Kirk Cousins type if you're Minnesota. But then again, if you get Kirk Cousins and you're Minnesota, I mean, that does help sharpen up your Super Bowl chances, I think. All right, so like getting back into it though, like their odds for Kirk Cousins is for teams with the best odds. You got the Jets at number 1, then the Broncos at number 2. The Cardinals are a team that could surprise as far as getting a guy like Kirk Cousins. I mean, they need a quarterback, and I guess it'd be a little bit surprising just because no one's really talked about him. But nonetheless, I mean, the Cardinals get Kirk Cousins. That NFC West is going to be one of the best divisions in football, right? So the Cardinals got the 3rd best odds. Then you got the Bills at with the 4th best odds, tied with the Jaguars. And I don't really see the Bills going and get a guy like Kirk Cousins. I've seen that they're thinking about trading those 2 first-round picks that they got, trying to move into the top 10 to get a quarterback. So maybe they do that. Like I said, the Jaguars tied with the Bills at the 4th best odds, and then tied for the 5th best odds is the Dolphins and Giants. Those teams really don't make sense to me as far as going out and getting a guy like Kirk Cousins. You already got Tannehill there, and I feel like if I'm Miami, I'm going and I'm drafting a quarterback. And with the Giants, I'm doing the same thing. You got Eli Manning for 2 years, so go out and draft a guy like Josh Rosen. So we'll see how it all ends up, but that's all I got to say for this. So we're going to wrap up this segment. Next up, we're going to be talking post All-Star break storylines for the NBA. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. Today we've talked about what went over the weekend, what happened over the weekend, talked about the All-Star break and Tiger Woods stinking it up at his tournament. Talked about that. We talked a bit about the NFL. Well, we did talk about the NFL in the last segment, and for this one, we're going to go back to the NBA, talking about storylines to watch for, and also going to talk a bit about playoff seeding, all right? Talk about Adam Silver's comments over the weekend, all right? So Adam Silver said that has been given serious thought about to the idea of having the NBA playoffs just be the best teams 1 through 16 as far as records go. It doesn't matter if you play in the West or East as far as seeding and all that. It's just the top 16 teams in the league make playoffs, okay? And I like how they switched it a few years ago to where its divisions really don't mean anything. It's all about record and your respective conferences. But I feel like switching it up for that to the best 1 through 16 teams in the league, didn't matter, like I said, East or West, I feel like that's doing a bit too much, okay? I think the way they got it going on right now is perfect, and I mean, people are complaining right now about how the West is so much better than the East and how the East is terrible and all that, but I mean, really, if you look at it, the West, you got the Rockets and the Warriors, but after that, there's a huge drop-off between the teams, all right? In the East, I mean, the teams are all pretty even. You got your top 3 teams, the Raptors, Celtics, and Cavs, and then after that, you got teams like the Pacers, the Wizards, the Bucks, and then for the final 2 teams, you got like the Pistons, Sixers, and Heat, all right? I think the East right now is doing pretty well, and it's all just pretty much a matter of a cycle, okay? There's going to be times in the next few years where the East is a whole lot better than the West, and people are going to be saying that the West is a terrible conference and the East is a whole lot better, right? We can't just be prisoners in the moment, and we can't just change things up because it's one way right now, but it could be changing in another way in the upcoming future, all right? So I think as far as changing the seeding, I don't really like that idea. I think they should just leave it how it is now. But I mean, as far as the seeding goes, I mean, there were some nice matchups I was looking at right now. If I can remember off the top of my head, it would be Rockets versus the Clippers. Then I think it would be let me see if I can double check it right here. Let's see. I'm going to go look at the standings real quick. But yeah, I think it'd be Rockets versus the Clippers, and I think it'd be Warriors versus the Nuggets. Let me see. Or would it be Warriors versus the Heat? Let me see real quick. 44, 517. Oh, so I think it'd be the Rockets versus the Heat. Then I think we would get the Warriors versus the Pelicans. And then be the Raptors versus who would the Raptors be playing? The Raptors would be playing the Nuggets, I believe, and I think the Portland Trailblazers. I think the Celtics would play the Nuggets. Either way, getting back to it, there were a couple of good matchups. Like I think the Bucks would be playing a team like the Timberwolves. So I mean, yeah, like I said, a lot of fun matchups out there, but I just think it's doing too much a bit. All right, time to reel it back and just leave it the way it is. Because if you change it up, I mean, you're going to be changing a whole lot of other things. So I feel like just leave it how it is. Just do best 8 teams from each conference make playoffs. All right, have those teams play each other. Then it's East versus West in the finals. All right, no need to change it up. I'm sure people would want to see the Warriors versus the Rockets in the finals, but I like the way it is going right now. All right, so that's all I have to say about that. Let's talk about storylines to watch for in the NBA post All-Star break, okay? I mean, let's head over to Cleveland. All right, what's going to happen with LeBron once the season's over, and what's going to go on with the Cavaliers as the season plays on? All right, obviously they played extremely well in 2 games with their new acquisitions. All right, Larry Nance, Jordan Clarkson, Rodney Hood, and George Hill. But are they going to be able to sustain that for the rest of the season? Are they going to be able to stay consistent? I'm not sure. All right. I don't want to be like a prisoner of the moment or anything like that, but as of right now, I mean, the Cavs are probably the second best team in the East. I think they've taken over that spot from Boston. Right, at one point, Boston was the best team in the East, but Toronto took that from them. All right, so right now, if I had to say, Toronto is still the best team in the East, and then you got the Cavs. All right, and as far as if the Cavs can go out and beat the Warriors in the finals, if they make it or anything like that, I mean, everyone's got a chance. But if I had to put money on it, Cleveland really wouldn't get more than a game in that series, okay? You can't tell me that Larry Nance, Jordan Clarkson, Rodney Hood, and George Hill are going to help you get better as far as going out and beating a team like the Warriors, right? I understand you got J.R. Smith, you got Kevin Love still. Obviously, you got LeBron and all those other guys, but that's still not going to make a difference against the Warriors. So, I mean, as far as right now, I mean, for the Cavs, as far as their storyline, it's pretty much just seeing how the season plays out and pretty much seeing what kind of position they put themselves in as far as for the future, right? Because I'm still not sure what's going to happen with LeBron. Is he going to LA? Is he going to the Rockets? Is he going to the Spurs? Or is he just going to stay in Cleveland? All right. I think right now it's between Houston and Cleveland. All right. This is just my guess. All right. I don't have any inside information or anything like that. This is just my opinion. Okay. As far as LeBron going to Houston, they're a better team than the Warriors, I think. Because as of right now, there's people raising the question of, can this Warriors team beat the Warriors in a 7-game series? All right, there's people actually thinking that the Rockets have a chance. If we're already asking this question now, imagine what the question would be with LeBron James. All right, I think it comes down to who's the best team in the West. Okay, because as of right now, we know who the best team in the West is. It's easily the Warriors. But like I said, you got that team in the Rockets who could probably knock them off, possibly. But if you throw LeBron on there, it's pretty much not the Warriors are the best team in the West. Do the Rockets have a chance of beating them? It's who the best team in the West is. All right, so we got to watch out for that, see how the season plays out. All right, the Lakers did clear up cap space in order to go out and get a guy like LeBron James or even a Paul George type. And as far as the Lakers go, I mean, this is a big offseason for them, okay? The Lakers have always beat this drum that people want to go play for them and, just the best players want to go play in LA, okay? That has not been the case. I don't know where that lie came from. I don't know where the lie of LA is a desirable place and everyone wants to come play here. I don't know where that came from, okay? Because the last top big-name free agent the Lakers signed was, I think, Shaquille O'Neal, okay? And that was in the late 90s. Lakers haven't signed anyone big since then, all right? Maybe you could say Pau Gasol, but Pau Gasol was nowhere near on the level of Shaq or any of these top guys in the league right now, all right? So the Lakers have never really gotten a guy like LeBron or anything like that since the late 90s. Why do we keep pushing this narrative that everyone wants to go play for LA? Maybe no one signed with LA before because Kobe was there, and Kobe's pretty much a bad teammate, I guess you could say. All right, because I remember when they were going for LaMarcus Aldridge, said that their free agency pitch was good, said their meeting went well, said they pretty much thought that LaMarcus Aldridge was going to be going there, and sure enough, he ended in San Antonio. All right, Lakers got to figure out how to make the LA as a desirable destination for free agents thing become true, because it's not. All right, so you got to worry about that. And like I said, going back to the Rockets and Warriors, I mean, we got to pretty much see how the West plays out for the rest of the season, okay? We got to see, are the Rockets going to maintain their position as the number 1 team in the West as far as the standings go? Because as of right now, the Rockets currently have the 1 seed in the West, and the Warriors currently have the 2 seed. But I mean, if we're being real here, the Warriors are still the best team in the NBA. All right, Warriors are only a half game back of the Rockets right now, and it's pretty much after that there's just a huge drop off. Okay, because you got the Rockets, the Warriors, then you got the Spurs who are 10 games back of the 1st seed, the Minnesota Timberwolves who are also 10 games back of the 1st seed. All right, OKC is 12 games back, Denver's 12.5 games back, Portland's 12.5 games back, and New Orleans is 13 games back. All right, the West is not as good as everyone thinks it is. Okay, the West is very top heavy. And it's just Houston, Golden State, and then after that, it's a bunch of teams who are going to be playing to, I guess, lose in the Western Conference Finals, if they even make it that far, right? Because a team like the Thunder aren't going to be able to put up much of a fight against the Warriors. They just don't match up well, okay? I get that the Thunder have beat the Warriors twice this season, but when playoff time comes, I'm sure that it's going to be a whole lot different than what everyone else thinks, okay? And as far as the Spurs, they're not going to do anything against these two teams unless Kawhi Leonard comes back, and I'm not even sure when that's going to happen, all right? Kawhi's been out for, I mean, it feels like years, but it's only been about a couple of months. I mean, he did come back. That's why I'm saying a couple of months. But in reality, he just really hasn't played much this season. All right, I'm not really sure what's going on. I'm not sure if they're just going to shut him down for the rest of the season. But nonetheless, the Spurs really have no chance against those two teams without Kawhi Leonard. And even with Kawhi back, I don't even think you could say that they get more than 6 games. They get more than 2 wins in a series. All right, I should say I don't think it goes more than 6 games in a series between these two teams. Between these teams right here. I mean, against the Warriors, the Spurs will probably get 1. I'm not sure if they could get 2 against the Rockets. I think the Spurs can get 2. All right, so I mean, as far as they go, they need Kawhi. As far as the Timberwolves go, I mean, I don't think they're ready. The Timberwolves have been a real frustrating team to watch. Okay, the Timberwolves they can't seem to be a consistent enough team, and they can't really seem to pick up big wins against these top teams in the league, okay? I mean, I think they currently have one of the worst records against the top 6 teams in the NBA right now, and I don't know what it is. I think that they have a lot of great players, but they don't really have any true leaders, right? Karl-Anthony Towns, one of the best centers in the league. Andrew Wiggins is a pretty good player. Jimmy Butler, one of the best 2 guards in the league, but I mean, as far as Towns and Wiggins go, there's no real leadership between the two, all right? Towns, I don't think is really much of a leader. Jimmy Butler could be that, but he's not so much the vocal type. He's more of the lead by example type leader. So I just think that's what the Minnesota Timberwolves are missing right now, like just that leadership to help them stay consistent and pretty much fight against these top teams. So the Timberwolves really have no chance against these two teams. Like I said, the Thunder don't, and the rest of the West really isn't even up for conversation because they'll be getting bounced in the first round, those 6 through 8 seeds. And as far as the East goes, I mean, you got 3 teams who could come out the East, okay? You got the Celtics, you got the Raptors, and you got the Cavs. We already talked a bit about the Cavs, and as far as the Raptors go, no one's really given them that true respect that they probably deserve, only because of the fact that when it's playoff time, this team pretty much shrivels up, goes back into their turtle shell, and doesn't come out till it's the regular season again, all right? Let's not forget that Kyle Lowry, I believe it was this past postseason, where he had to go into the locker room during the game just to pretty much get his head back on straight, and pretty much, I mean, the dude was just mentally shook, I feel, all right? So you got to figure out that. You got to hope that DeMar DeRozan plays well in playoffs too. But, I mean, other than that, you got to hope the bench shows up also. So, I mean, you really can't, I don't know, the bench as far as the Raptors go, I mean, it does help in the postseason, I feel, but it really just comes down to Kyle Lowry finally showing up and DeMar DeRozan being consistent in the playoffs. And as far as the Celtics go, their storyline is what's going to happen with Gordon Hayward. Is he going to come back this season, or are you just going to wait till next season? If I'm the Celtics, I probably, unless he's like completely 100% ready to go, that's the only way I bring him back, right? If he's at like 95% or whatever, even 99, he says, I'm ready to go, I'm at 99, I'm not bringing him back, all right? You can't bring him back till he's at 100. This Celtics team is playing for the future, okay? Yeah, they're one of the best teams in the East. Yeah, they do play extremely well against teams like the Warriors, but let's not rush things, all right? There's no need to rush it, all right? This is the last year I feel that the Cavs are going to have their little reign over the East, whether LeBron stays or goes. I just think that the East is finally starting to catch up. You saw that this year with how they were playing in the beginning of the year, and now we got to see how the rest of the season plays out. But nonetheless, getting back to it, I mean, you got 3 teams who have a chance at making it out the East. If I had to make my pick right now, I guess the only real answer is the Cavs, but I wouldn't really put it past the Celtics as far as getting out of the East. I mean, maybe that's a team, because the Celtics have progressed year after year. Right? The first year they got Brad Stevens, won like 20-something games. The next year they make playoffs as the 8th seed. The year after that they improve their record, and then the year after that is when they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, lose to the Cavs. So I mean, if they've been progressing year after year, I guess logic only can tell that maybe they make it out of the East this year. But we're gonna have to wait and see how it all ends up for them. But as far as everything else goes, I mean, now it's pretty much like as far as the bad team storylines go, it's pretty much seeing who could tank the best. You got like 6 teams that have a really good chance at fighting for that number 1 draft spot in the lottery. All right. Obviously, you want the worst record. So, I mean, you got teams like the Suns, the Magic, the Kings, the Mavericks, the Hawks, and the Brooklyn Nets. I guess the Brooklyn Nets really aren't trying to tank, so it's just pretty much just a matter of them just being really bad. But going back to it, I mean, teams like the Knicks, what do you do? Do you shut Porzingis down for next year also, or do you bring him back in mid-February where you pretty much aren't going to be playing for anything because your team's going to be just as bad? So there's a lot going on as far as the tanking goes. I mean, the Knicks right now have 23 wins, and I think the worst team in the league, which is the Suns, has like 16. So the Knicks got to learn how to lose games here, or else they're going to be in a bit of trouble as far as their lottery spot. So that's all I got to say about that. Next up, we're going to be wrapping up the show talking about pretty much anything else going on in the world of sports, talking about the Champions League game between Barcelona and Chelsea. I think Bayern Munich won theirs against Besiktas. And then we'll talk about the Red Sox getting JD Martinez, and like I said, anything else going on. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. So far today, we've talked about, what have we talked about? We talked about what happened over the weekend as far as talking about All-Star Game, the NBA All-Star Game, NBA All-Star Weekend, and we talked about Tiger Woods and his little tournament. He missed the cut there. We talked about the NFL in the second segment, and then the third segment pretty much talked about the NBA. So for this segment, we're going to be talking some MLB, going to be talking some Champions League, and pretty much anything else that comes to mind for this last segment, all right? So let's get into the Champions League real quick, all right? So Bayern Munich won their game 5-0, and as far as Bayern Munich goes, I mean, there's not really anything to worry about them, or pretty much anything to look forward with them as far as this little round of 16 matchup goes. I mean, they're going to end up advancing, so it's going to be more interesting for them once we find out who they're going to be playing. But as for the second game that went on, it was the Chelsea and Barcelona game, and that game ended in a tie, 1-1, all right? Chelsea was up in that one 1-0, and then they were playing with the ball on the back, got too cute, lost it, and Messi scored, which made it 1-1. So that's how the game finished. Chelsea had a lot of chances to score in this one. I think Willian hit the post twice before he scored his goal. So, I mean, a bit unlucky there. But as far as this little matchup goes, they still got one more game to play. This one's going to be the next one's going to be in Barcelona, so it's going to be important for Chelsea to go out and get an away goal there. All right. If they don't score, then it's over. All right. Because for those that don't know, Champions League, in the two games, if it's tied after both, then it goes off of away goals. All right, so Chelsea going to have to play well, but Chelsea played well today. I mean, had Barcelona on their back foot quite a bit, so it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. If Chelsea ends up beating Barcelona, then anyone can go out and win the Champions League this year, whether it be a Manchester City, a Chelsea team. Real Madrid would probably be the favorites with Barcelona out, maybe, or unless PSG somehow come back against them. Maybe a team like Tottenham, maybe a team like Manchester United, or even Bayern Munich, like I said. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. So far, the Champions League has gone on pretty well, and I'm going to be real excited to see how the rest of these games all play out in the next couple of weeks. So we'll see. I'm really looking forward to those quarterfinal games too. There's going to be, I think, a lot of English teams versus English teams, and maybe even you see like a Real Madrid facing off with a team like Bayern Munich, maybe Real Madrid versus a team like Manchester United. That'd be a bit of fun there. If Manchester United obviously needs to get past their games. I think they play tomorrow against Sevilla, so we'll see how it all ends up. But let's talk baseball a bit, all right? So the Red Sox finally got their guy, JD Martinez, and this was big for Boston here, okay? Because as of right now, I mean, the Yankees are going to be the more hyped team in the AL, probably in all of baseball. They're probably going to be a lot of analysts and writers are probably going to pick them to win the AL East, but I don't think it's too far off to think that the Red Sox are still the best team in the AL East, because yeah, you have Aaron Judge, yeah, you have Gary Sanchez, yeah, you have Giancarlo Stanton. But if I had to say like all-around team, I'd say the Red Sox have the best all-around team. I think the Red Sox have better pitching. David Price is finally healthy. Chris Hale pitched well last season. I mean, the last couple of months he really didn't do too well, so he's got to figure that out. And you got Rick Porcello who's going to try and bounce back after this past season. Drew Pomeranz was playing pretty well, pitching pretty well, I should say. All right, kept Jackie Bradley Jr. You got Mookie Betts back for another year. Andrew Benintendi. You got Rafael Devers going to see what he can do on his first full season. I mean, was tearing it up with the Red Sox the last season as far as hitting the ball. All right. You got Eduardo Nunez back up until Dustin Pedroia is ready to come back into the lineup full time. So that means you could turn Nunez into pretty much a platoon player, throw him at third base, shortstop, second base, or first base whenever it need be. All right, you got to figure out what you're going to do at the first base position. Are you going to go with Mitch Moreland, or are you going to have Hanley go out there? All right. I kind of like the way Mitch Moreland played for the Red Sox last season, so maybe you go with him. But Hanley Ramirez really hasn't been too healthy last couple of years, so if he's healthy this season and can get back to the hitter that he used to be, Boston's going to be a bit of a scary team. And like I said, I mean, JD Martinez is going to be a huge addition to this lineup because you got a guy like him who could hit the ball anywhere and pretty much hits for power too. The Red Sox have been missing that since David Ortiz retired, right? Last year, I mean, that's what their biggest problem was. They had no power hitter, no one in the lineup that you would really fear, right? That guy, I guess, was Hanley Ramirez, but no one really fears Hanley Ramirez as far as pitching to him anymore because he's always hurt and he's really hasn't been as good as he used to be, all right? And that's like I said, that's probably the biggest problem that the Red Sox went through is that they had no big-time hitter. And now with JD Martinez, that fits. He's probably going to be hitting cleaner, but it's going to be interesting to see how this Red Sox team puts it all together, right? Because before JD Martinez, I think I'd like to say that they were a playoff team already, but with him, I mean, maybe they get to win a playoff series this year, and maybe they end up seeing the Yankees in the ALCS, right? Because the Yankees, yeah, they got to the ALCS last year, so I mean, it's nothing short of expectations there for expecting them to be back in the ALCS. So we'll see how it all ends up. But I do like the fact that the Red Sox ended up getting JD Martinez. I didn't pay too much for him. Only gave him 5 years, $110 million, option to opt out after 2 years, and front loaded the deal with all the money coming in at the beginning of the contract. So nice little deal with them. Don't really got to deal with paying him too much towards the end of the contract if he chooses to opt in and play out the rest of his contract in Boston. All right. And another player was signed to the San Diego Padres, Eric Hosmer. Got 8 years. Can't remember exactly how much money he got. I think it was like $128 million, something like that. But nonetheless, that's a crazy contract to give a guy right now. I think Hosmer, I don't think he's too young anymore. I think he's got to be near 30. So giving players 7+ year deals never really works out, even 6 year plus, all right? It's really, usually the contract will be good for about the first couple of years, and then eventually the guy his play starts to dip a bit. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works out for the Padres, right? The Padres really haven't been a good team in quite some time. So, I mean, they're at least trying to go out and get players in order to build up the team and play well. So, I mean, good on them for getting a guy like Eric Hosmer. But, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it all ends up for them in the NL West, because you still got a Giants team who made a couple of good moves this year. The Dodgers are without a doubt the best team in that division. And then you got the Rockies and Diamondbacks who both played in the wild card game last year against each other. So, I mean, you got 4 teams who could be playoff contenders this year. Obviously, only 2 teams make it in the wild card and division winners. So, we'll see how it all ends up. But I do like what the Padres are doing. I like how they're thinking outside the box and pretty much just trying to, trying to bring hope, I guess you could say. All right. So, yeah, there's that. And then I want to talk a bit about Trae Young. Yesterday, Oklahoma played Kansas, and Kansas ran Oklahoma out the building. I think Trae Young is a good shooter, but I do think he is a bit overhyped. All right, ESPN is doing whatever they can to push that hype train. The dude takes way too many shots, and he doesn't make enough of them. All right, his field goal percentage is up. I feel like it's a little bit inflated because of the fact that he takes too many shots. I mean, the dude takes about maybe 20 shots a game. I feel all you got to do is make about, let's do some quick math right here. All right, so 7 divided by 20. He's shooting about, if you're making about 9 out of 20 shots, that's about 45% right there shooting. All right, obviously hitting 9 out of your 20 shots doesn't look that good on paper. So I think he's got to be more efficient, I think, all right? Nice little ball handler, can pass the ball, also leading the nation in assists. So I feel like he just needs to limit his shots a little bit more and use his team more. But, I mean, it could just be a case of like how it was with Ben Simmons in LSU. There's no real talent around him, right? Ben Simmons was clear-cut the best player on that team, and no one really came close to his talent. Really wasn't. I mean, that team just wasn't good at all. It was like not even good enough to make the tournament. So, I mean, maybe that's what's going on with Oklahoma, but nonetheless, I mean, Kansas owns that conference, and as far as Trae Young goes, I don't think he's a top 5 player that's going to be entering the draft. I mean, he's probably going to get drafted anywhere from 10 to 6 range, but like I said, top 5 just isn't something I see happening. All right, so yeah, I think Trae Young is a bit overrated. Let's see what else we got going on in sports. What do we got going on in the Olympics today? Let's check the medal count. I think we got let's see, yeah, we got Norway still in first as far as the medal count goes. Let's go medal tracker. Let's see what we got going here. We got Norway in first with 29 medals. Got 11 gold medals. And you got Germany. They got 23 medals, 11 gold medals also. Canada's got 19 medals. And let's see who's after Canada. You got Netherlands with 14 total medals. France with 13. USA catching up a bit with 12. So, I mean, I think the USA, the hockey team's playing tonight. Let me check the Olympic schedule, see what we got going on for today. Today we got curling, women's curling, round robin tournament, the round robin going on still at 4:00 Pacific time. And then we got snowboarding going on today, figure skating at 5, Alpine skiing, it's going to be for the medal. And ice hockey, you got I believe it's the Czech Republic playing against the USA team. All right, it's quarterfinals. USA loses. I believe they're out. So, I mean, hopefully they end up winning this one. And if they lose in the quarterfinals, I mean, that's going to be a bit unnerving because of the fact that, I mean, it's going to show that obviously our younger prospects can't really hang with the people around. Obviously, the U.S. has done well to grow hockey and pretty much starting to bring out nice young prospects that come into the NHL and play well. So, I mean, losing in the Olympics this early wouldn't be too good, all right? So there's that going on. Let's see, anything else going on in the world of sports? No picks going on for tonight because we don't have the NBA games going on till Thursday. Oh, yeah, Louisville. They have to vacate, I think, from 2011. Their wins from 2011 to 2015, I believe. Let me see if I can double-check that stat. All right, I'm not going to get too much into it either, but let's see, from 2011 to 2015, to the 2014/2015 season. All right, they have to give up, I guess, the fact that they can't call themselves national champions from their 2013 year when they won the tournament. And I don't really understand why the NCAA takes away wins. It just doesn't make sense to me because no one's going to think, oh yeah, Louisville didn't win it, because they did win it that year, right? Obviously, the stuff that Rick Pitino did as far as with paying the players and stuff like that isn't good, and a bunch of other stuff that went on over there. But as far as ability on the court and all that, I mean, none of that stuff really had affected them as far as playing. It's not like they were taking HGH or anything like that, any performance enhancer. So I feel like instances where you take away a championship from a team like Louisville, take away Reggie Bush's Heisman, I feel like that's all pointless. All right, if you want to go and take away scholarships, that's the way to do it. But don't go away saying you're taking away wins, because I feel like that doesn't do anything. Because sure enough, they're still champions, and you can't take that away from them. I think Kevin Ware, when he was on that team, still tweeted out today that he still has the big ring that he got from that national title game. So, I mean, you really can't take that away from him. But that's all I got to say about that. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. Today we talked about All-Star Weekend, talked about Tiger Woods, talked about the NFL, talked about the storylines to look for in the NBA for the rest of the season. And then for this segment, pretty much did everything. Talked about anything going on in the world of sports. So thanks for listening to the GSMC Sports Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jesse Tapia. We'll be back tomorrow and every day of the week besides Mondays, obviously. So stay tuned, and we'll talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.